3.
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody. Welcome on in. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. We are live in Harriman at the JCW's. Yes, that JCW's. The Burger Boys. Quality and a lot of it, all those things. JJ?
If you want to watch the BYU game and have the best burger in town,
Yeah.
and the best shakes in town,
No
or
problem.
you want wings, or you want fish and chips, whatever it is you like, come enjoy
listen.
the tournament with some outstanding food.
Let's do it.
And a lot of other fans. We're here until 6 o'clock. So
That's
come
right.
Join us.
We'll be hanging out here. BYU just went to the half a few minutes ago. They are up 11 on VCU. This first half, JJ, you tell me your thoughts first of all, right out of the gate, on how BYU was able to extend that to 11 points. It took them a minute. It was close for quite some time, and of course, there's still the second half of basketball yet to be played. But BYU started to sort of assert themselves in that second second part of the first half, and they had pushed VCU around a little bit under the hoop to be able to get some of those rebounds that they weren't getting. VCU is so good on the offensive boards; they are 20th in the country on offensive rebounds. And early were up 5 offensive rebounds to BYU's 0. The ball was not bouncing BYU's way, but they were able to get some sharp shooting from Yegor Demon. I don't think people were expecting double digits out of Yegor in the first half, JJ, but he went 3 for 4 from 3, and man, he's hot. And BYU up 11, just where they want to be, double digits up on VCU instead of having to worry about being down early. Remember last year? Where were they down last year? 9-0 against Duquesne.
They led for like 20 seconds in that game. No
Yeah.
one remembers that because they kept it close for a while. But Duquesne got out to that great start, you remember, last year, and BYU was chasing them the whole game.
Yeah.
And this, obviously, VCU got off to that 5-0 start early, but ever since then, it's been the other way around. VCU's chasing the Cougs right now.
Our program is always brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Look, we're going to kick the show off. Let's keep talking some hoops here. Let's keep talking our favorite day in the entire college basketball season, which is, of course, us getting into March Madness and your brackets and whatever. I told you right before I came in, my 2-year-old and I are currently leading the family bracket. Not that we both have the same bracket. She has her own.
She did her research.
Yeah. And so we got her. She and I are both in the lead because we're the only ones in the family so far that have picked Creighton to win in that first round. Although that would seem like an easy choice to me. Now I do not have McNeese State, and she does. So McNeese is currently up what on
up 18 last I checked. Let me get
up
the
18 on
latest
Clemson,
score.
who a lot of people have at least in the Sweet 16. Some of them going to the Elite 8.
51-29 now. They're up 22 points.
Wow. Okay. So Clemson, great job ACC, not showing up to the tournament. There you go. Let's kick things off though, as we always do. Top of the show, top of the hour. It is the cut. Let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth. That's Trajan Wealth for all your local trusted needs in retirement. TrajanWealth.com. Let me see here. Yeah, lots going on. Coming up a little bit later, of course, we're going to have our weekly conversation with Big T Thurl Bailey. I don't know. You tell me, JJ, before we get into it. The Jazz won last night, or did they?
No, they did not win last night. The box score says a win, but now they drop back into a tie with Washington, and the tiebreaker goes to the Wizards. So the Jazz no longer have the worst record in the NBA.
That's fine. We'll
by
take
percentage points. So.
That's fine. They
Trust
can have
me,
it.
you look at this. We're joking around. You look at the schedule, and the Jazz, they're going to finish with the worst record in the league because they've got some really tough games coming up. It's just so weird. I mean, being in that situation. I hope, as Jazz fans, it's 20 years down the road, you ever have to go through a game like that where the two worst teams in the league are playing, and the Jazz are one of them.
Right.
With this situation currently, you hope for brighter days ahead. But the Jazz had a good night last night. If you're one of those fans that isn't as interested in that and more interested in the development of the young players, there were some young players last night that had really good games and showed out really well. So the development continues, the process continues, and the Jazz still have that 14% percentage of getting that number 1 overall pick, and the worst they could do is fall to 5. So, but we'll be watching that race because you do want the Jazz at this point, since they're already there. Go ahead and just finish with the worst record in the league.
So, BYU in the first half, as we get back to this BYU VCU, 39-28, they lead the Rams right now, and VCU is not shooting the 3-ball well. They started out 2 for 2, and they ended the half 4 for 16. Max Shulga, the A-10 Player of the Year, 1 for 4. He's only been able to contribute 3 points. BYU right now being led by, like I said, Yegor Demon, who's got 11 points at the half. Richie Saunders started to kind of get with it a little bit. Although he's 0 for 2 from 3, that's not necessarily his game. He's 3 for 6 from the field. He's got 6 points. He likes to have big second halves, JJ. I know that Foose coming in and having 7 points of his own, that's been big underneath. I told you, BYU is not a big team, but those two, but Foose and obviously Keba Keita, like, they play big underneath. You know what I mean? Like, those guys can push some people around. And so to go up 11 is big for BYU. To go up, obviously coming out of the gates and trying to figure out how to maintain that lead and how to extend it. We've seen so many weird things happen. We've seen BYU up big. I don't want to bring up the Ole Miss game from a few years ago, but here we go.
Yeah,
we've had that. We've seen that play out before.
No lead is comfortable, as BYU fans would admit.
But I will say that BYU is very, very good at, even if the game does get close, they have a way to come out and eke out those wins, even when they are close. So BYU, like I said, up at the half, 39-28, almost 40 points on one of the best defensive teams in the tournament. This is a top 50 Ken Pom defensive rating team and a top 50 offensive Ken Pom adjusted efficiency team as well. So they are very, very good. There's not a lot of teams that are in that both top 50 in both of those categories. So BYU scoring almost 40 in the first half is really, really good because VCU likes to keep games low scoring, and that's how they usually win a lot of their games.
This is what BYU had to do today to get a win over VCU. And if you were watching this game in the first half, you saw right away what we've been talking about all week with VCU, how good they are defensively, the length that they have in the front court. Shulga, his skill, and Bamasili. These guys are good. They're a really good basketball team, but they don't have the same type of depth that BYU had. And if BYU was able to get their tempo going, exert their will, play this game the way they want to play it, then they'd be able to pull away and win this game. And in the first half, that's exactly what they did. It was close for 3/4 of that first half, and then BYU ends strong with Foose coming off the bench scoring 7 points. Dawson Baker hit a nice 3. And that's your gap right now, is the guys coming off the bench and doing what they did. You're up to 11 at the half before we get started here momentarily on the second half. But the X factor in this game was Yegor Demon's offense. You knew Yegor was going to come in and do his thing with passing. Ironically, he has 11 points, no assists, which is usually, it's almost inverse with Yegor because he's an elite passer. He's one of the best passers in the country and one of the best assist guys in the country.
He took 4 threes in the first half, which is not really his.
Well, they left him open.
Yeah.
And I think that was their game plan. I think VCU, if you're looking at the percentages, you're looking, okay,
let him shoot.
You want Saunders shooting the threes? You want Mag? You want Trevin Knell? When Dallin Hall comes off the bench, even Trey Stewart, do you want them and catching shooting the threes? No. If you pick one guy on this team other than Keba Keita to shoot a 3, you'd say, okay, we're going to let Yegor Demon try to beat us from three-point land, and he did in the first half. His 11 points were huge, and that's why BYU's 5 of 10 from 3 right now. They're shooting the ball at 50% clip. The free throws got to come up. That's got to be better. Keba Keita missed a couple, and Foose missed one, and that's why that's the case. Those are the only 2 guys to go to the line. I would like to see Saunders has got to get to the line in the second half. Richie's got to get to the line. I'd even like to see Trevin Knell get a little bit more aggressive, and Yegor as well. They got to push the ball a little bit better against this team, but VCU's very, very good in the half court. They're a very, very good defensive team, and everything that we talked about all week is playing out right now. It comes down to which team is able to exert their will and make this game their style, and so far after a half, BYU's been the team that's been able to do that.
The number one overall seed, Auburn, pulling away and now making it final, a 20-point win over Alabama State, 83-63, as that just went final. McNeese is up by 19 over Clemson, like we mentioned, with 7.5 minutes left in that second half on that one. Gonzaga, with a flurry at the beginning of that first half, going up 17-2 before Georgia was able to get a couple more scores in. But they're still up 19 on Georgia, 33-14 with 7 minutes left in the first half. And you've got Creighton defeating Louisville today by 14, 89-75. It's a really, really good Creighton team. I don't know a lot of people who had Louisville going on very far because I just didn't believe that number 8
One of their
seed.
best players is hurt too.
Yeah,
so.
and it's not good. High Point Purdue ends up pulling away from High Point. It was interesting early, and speaking of teams that you were looking at and kind of wondering how this thing would go, Wisconsin was able to defeat Montana handily, 85-66 in that 3-14 matchup. Of course, the winner of BYU and VCU will face that Wisconsin team, who is. By the way, when was the last time you see Wisconsin scoring 80-something points?
It's a new world.
They do it. Look,
that's not your father's Wisconsin.
No. Who was it? Was it Bo Ryan? Who was their head? Was it Bo Ryan?
Yeah.
Who's like, slow it down.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to the end of every shot clock. It's going to be 41-37, and we're going to win this game. That is not how Wisconsin plays ball anymore. It's a new style, and boy, I tell you, you talk about a game that would be high-scoring situation between Wisconsin and BYU. Those are both teams that shoot a lot. I'm not going to try to put BYU in that game yet because there still is a full second half, but that's who they'd be facing in that next round. So far, we're not necessarily shocked by any of these scores necessarily, although the McNeese-Clemson score, with McNeese being up almost 20 with 6.5 minutes left in the second half, that's a pretty big shock. Look, if the ACC – if Louisville goes out, Clemson goes out, and Duke is kind of the only, you got – and then suddenly everyone's going, hey, North Carolina, remember when we said all those bad things about you? Because I will tell you, when I started to make those final brackets with the family today, and I have one made for our KSL Sports one that we put up there, but I'm telling you, North Carolina should be on a lot of people's radar for going to that Sweet 16. I don't remember a team being ridiculed as much as North Carolina has been to get into the tournament in the first place, and of course they're going to prove all of us wrong, or at least try to make sure that everybody recognizes that North Carolina can still be North Carolina. So as day one of the tournament continues here, I'm not sure how this second half goes for BYU. How do they maintain that 11-point lead, or how do they pull away from this VCU team who is going to start locking down their defense quite a bit more?
You got to push the pace. Like I mentioned a moment ago, I feel like BYU needs to be more aggressive getting to the rim, getting to the foul line. Richie Saunders needs to shoot 8 to 10 free throws in this game. And if he can't get to the line in the second half, then you might have that issue. I also think BYU's got to continue to shoot the three at that clip. And more guys need to shoot the three. Yegor was the one that was hitting him. I don't think Yegor can continue that pace in the second half. So
but that's what you want.
Can Richie and Trevin and Dallin and even Mawit Mag, can those guys start getting those threes to fall? BYU's got to play their game in the second half, because if VCU is able to flip this their way in the second half and slow things down, make it more of a half-court game, and force BYU, keep BYU in front of them. You saw in the first half what happens when BYU was trying to get through that defense. It was almost like you were trying to run into a wall.
Yep.
They're really good defensively. You've got to spread them out and get them in transition and play BYU basketball. If they do that in the second half, they will be fine. It'll be very interesting to see what adjustments VCU makes here in the second half, maybe some things they try to do to slow BYU down. And what does BYU do now that they've been able to see that defense for a half? What adjustments does Kevin Young and his staff make in the halftime locker room to see how they can take more advantage of what VCU does?
Here's what our plan looks like for today. Thurl Bailey is going to join us next segment. Of course, Big T covers the Utah Jazz from the television broadcast side of things. He's also, of course, I was watching the other day, when we were talking about, when we were speaking with Dave Rose yesterday, I was thinking about that Phi Slima Jama, team that he was a captain of, by the way, Dave Rose was. And, that team that was supposed to be unbeatable, and NC State gets them in the championship, and that is such a cool thing to be able to remember. And I was thinking about it because somebody goes, the Alabama State head coach goes, I tell these kids this is going to be We're playing it at Rupp Arena, man, in Lexington against Auburn. We're in the NCAA tournament. We already won a game in the first 4. We're already right here. Regardless of what happens, play your butt off, and you're going to remember this time for the rest of your life. And I thought, that's exactly what happens. So many of these guys that we intersect with, man, they have awesome pro careers, but it's like, hey, what was your NCAA tournament, memory? What are the things that you remember out of those things? It's like, I don't know. I would say that for a guy like Thurl, and we can ask him about it, might be the most important thing that happened in his entire career, because especially looking back, obviously having a pro career is awesome. But, like, you think about memorable moments of your life, and that's it right there.
He was a starter on a team that had one of the most incredible runs in an NCAA tournament, one of the most improbable runs. I mean, that was kind of the first Cinderella, honestly. They were a true Cinderella team, even though they were in the ACC. No, they were tons of juggernauts that played college basketball during that era. You mentioned Houston, Georgetown, so many teams in the ACC, North Carolina. Duke was starting to ascend at that point in time. To win in Georgetown, obviously, to win a national championship during that era with all those great teams was pretty remarkable. And he was a starter on that team. And everything we talk about with March Madness, the thing that makes March Madness great, he lived and was a part of one of the most important moments that there ever was. The one shining moment was that buzzer beater that NC State had to pull off that massive upset. That's why we watch. That's why we love this game. And you think about what that moment and that team and that championship meant for Thurl and how that's led to the success that he's had for his entire lifetime since then. You get why that's so important and special to him. I mean, I don't even know if an NBA championship could have matched or equaled what he was a part of at the college in the college game.
Well, what we're planning on is making sure that we bring you as much coverage of this. BYU and VCU just about to fire up here in the second half. Thurl's going to join us at 3:30. Jonathan Tavernari, I think as soon as this game goes final, we might even be able to carry for you, and if the game is close there at the end, or even when BYU's wrapping things up against VCU, however that game is going to end, we'll bring you those final minutes of that one. But we'll also get JT's reaction as well. We have so many colleagues that are there on the ground in Denver. We're going to bring you our post-game coverage as much as we can as well, and get you some of that audio as soon as those press conferences go final, and we'll bring you some of those. And we're anticipating also throughout the rest of the day lots of tournament talk, of course. But as we get you also ready tonight for the 7:30, is it 7:30 tip for
yes.
7:30 tip for Utah State, and J.C. Carroll, former Utah State basketball player, is going to join us at that 5 o'clock hour. And so we've got you covered tournament-wise. We've got you covered because, by the way, I don't know if you know this, JJ, there is a hockey game tonight also on the docket.
The Stanley Cup playoff race, that too.
So you've got the Utah Hockey Club, and we'll bring you some audio from Morning Skate today as well. With Utah State, and obviously J.C. Carroll can give us some ideas on how this thing goes down. It's so interesting on how Utah State is approached in these things. It's one of these – this is a team who's always right here, right? It seems like they get to the tournament a lot. They – last year win a game in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then they run into that buzzsaw number 1 seed, Purdue, of course. But to me, when you see this Utah State team, it's a different vibe. Obviously, they weren't the regular season runaway champions like they were last year, but they still are a very, very good basketball team. How do they withstand, or how do they get over some of the misgivings they've had over a couple of weeks? When you've seen this team struggle a little bit, kind of go about 500 in their last 6 games, and so how do you make sure that you kind of you forget those things that have gotten you some of the worst basketball you've been playing over the last few weeks, but you've also been playing against some of the best, Colorado State's playing their best basketball. You're seeing some of these guys, Utah State has a lot of anticipation, but again, if you go into a tournament as a 10 seed up against UCLA, that brand, people just normally lean toward the Bruins in a game like this, and they do so at their own peril.
Well, that's good. I think Utah State wants to feel and be the underdog in this game, and I think that's fine. And I think that sometimes you have a little bit of a struggle come into a tournament. Maybe it's a chance to reevaluate things and reassess things. You're also going to get a humble bunch. A coach is going to get a humble bunch that's reeling a little bit, and you can sit down, guys, and start talking about what's going right, what's going wrong, and what they need to do to make adjustments. Yeah, you look at the end of the season. Utah State in their last 8 games is 4-4. It's not great. Their losses are to New Mexico on the road. Great game at the Pit. The other loss at Boise State. The other loss at Colorado State. And that final loss was in the NCAA tournament against a red-hot Colorado State team that got the best of them that day. I've talked about it. I'm concerned about the Aggies because 4-4 at the end of the year is not the team we've seen all season long. But the thing about those losses, those are tough road venues they lost in. The Colorado State game in the Mountain West tournament in Vegas, Colorado State was red hot. They got an NBA player, Neek. They're good, and they showed it in that game. I didn't like the way they played against UNLV. I thought that was ugly. So it gives me cause for concern. But to answer your question, if I'm Utah State, this is a fresh start.
Right.
Like, you had a chance to go home early from Vegas. You haven't played since Friday. You go back to Logan. You gather back together. You hit the practice floor. You watch film. You have a few days to relax. Sunday was a little nerve-wracking because it was like, are we in or not? Because it got a little weird there for a moment. But once they were in, they have enough confidence. They got enough experience on that team. And they've got guys on that roster that have won an NCAA tournament game. Ian Martinez, Mason Fallsliv were key players in that team last year that won. They know how to win, and in the NCAA tournament, they have that experience behind them. I think it's a fresh start for the Aggies. I hope that's their approach, and I hope that is what plays out tonight because they have a great opportunity here to beat UCLA. I don't think UCLA is a juggernaut by any means.
No.
This is a team that they finished 6th in the Big Ten.
Yeah, but
that's
gettable.
Respectable.
But gettable, yeah.
But this is not a UCLA team that went to the Final Four 3 years ago with a bunch of NBA talent.
Right.
This is Mick Cronin's type of team. They're gonna want to play bully ball. They got size. They got strength. They're a typical Big Ten team, even though they're UCLA. If Utah State can absorb that physical play, get hot, and hopefully that zone for Utah State gives UCLA some problems and some fits. And if that's the case, then Utah State can win that game. I have no doubt about that. Utah State at one point this year was a top 25 team, and they were playing like it. If they can get back to that with this fresh start in the NCAA tournament, they can make some noise. If they don't, if this is the 4-4 team that ended the season, they're going to go home early.
Speaking of going home early, how about BYU coming out of the gate of the second half? 16:45 left in the second half. BYU is now up 18 on VCU. They've forced 3 turnovers in just those first 4 possessions that VCU's had the ball. They've been
just talked about it. Get out and transition.
And guess what? Trevin Nell 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Richie Saunders an and one puts him at the line, and he gets a 3-point play on that.
Kevin Young texted me their halftime game plan.
Oh, is that what it was?
Get out. We had some inside information.
Get out and transition as quick as you can. But they've been listen.
This is exactly what they needed to do.
They're running. VCU has just called a timeout to stop the bleeding a little bit. But yeah, BYU out to a quick 13-6 in the second half advantage in just 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And man, yeah, I'll tell you, that's a good start for BYU. They're up 52-34. Let's take our first break. We are at the JCW's here in Harriman. If you want to come down and grab something to eat, of course, this is that moment. Look, there's so many folks who are already watching these games. If they're at work and saying that they're not watching it, they're lying. Here's the deal.
Have a work meeting right now at JCW's.
Hey, I think our office even said, hey, come down. We're going to have a watch party.
Yeah.
Come down and have a watch party with us. Grab oh boy, I just saw a big old picture on the menu of an Oreo shake. Gosh dang it,
they're so good.
I was trying to avoid.
I'm going to temptation here today. Alex.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm a team player. I might have to get one just because I'm on Team JCW.
I might have to get some wings. I can do wings and some celery today.
Let's do it. All right, let's get this thing going. If you haven't had the over-the-top shakes here, if you haven't had some of the amazing burgers, if you want to get bacon on a burger that's legit, that's not like you have to search for it with the magnifying glass.
Bacon here.
Come on, let's get it going. Big T Thurl Bailey is going to join us next. We're going to chat a little bit about that about the Jazz win last night over the Wizards at home, and then talk about the rest of this season, how it looks for this Cougs, and then of course get some memories from Big T as well. And he's also got an amazing event that you can be a part of too, a 3-on-3 tournament that you can gather a team together and get going and see if you can participate in this thing. So we'll take the break here. We'll come back. We got more to go. Live at JCW's in Harriman. It's JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the off season, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Of course, it is one of our favorite days in all of sports. 16 games today, 16 tomorrow. Of course, your first rounds of the NCAA Tournament. BYU right now in the second half with 13:25 left, taking on VCU as the 6th seed and VCU the 11th seed. And the Cougs right now nursing a 15-point lead, make it 17. As Kebaketa just went back down and came up with it. No, that was Foose with the putback. We're at JCW's here in Harriman, and the Cougs are up 17, 56-39 here in the second half in their first-round game. Utah State tonight, 7:30 tip-off. Last night, the Utah Jazz with a big home win over the Washington Wizards, 128-112. Lots of young guys able to get some nice minutes last night for this Jazz team. Kyle Filipowski with 21 points. Nice in a start for Flip, and 20 points for Keontae George as well off of the bench. And it was a nice night for all these young guys. We're getting a lot of those, and you just want more of those. Joining us on the program right now, he is Big T, Thurl Bailey. Big T, what's going on, man? Happy March Madness to you.
Hey, I always when this time of the year comes, man, I get excited because I'm always looking for that one or two or three underdogs that find their way to move up, and so I'm loving this time of year.
Thurl, did the goosebumps come back when you remember that 1983 run and being a part of history? I can't imagine what it's like to every year be reminded of being a part of one of the special moments that we've ever seen in college basketball history.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you turn on ESPN, they're playing our documentary, The 30 for 30, Survive and Advance, all the time. When that happens, it means it meant something in the history of sports. Mm-hmm. It was an unbelievable run. It was an amazing upset over a great team. It'll always be that way in history. But yeah, I mean, I probably have the most conversations about basketball, even though it's NBA season. I always get a lot of messages about that time of year, and people are just remembering. Even young kids who've seen the documentary here, I'm just impressed on what they know about it because it was 41 years ago.
It's interesting, too, because we were chatting with Dave Rose yesterday, former BYU basketball head coach, and obviously he was on that.
My man.
I know, he's on that Phi Slam and Jam. He was the captain of that team, and, I think, it's pretty hard to go into these tournaments and be, such a favorite that a team like Houston was back then. But, this is why we love, these games and playing them. Do you remember the message that Coach Valvano had for you guys, like in that particular game, or is everything just a blur except for like maybe the championship moments? Do you remember some of the stuff that Jimmy V talked to you guys about?
I remember it all, baby. I remember him telling the media when we made it to the championship game that, look, we're going to hold the ball till next Tuesday. And he said that because of what he knew about the Houston team and what we had seen against University of Louisville in the semis. I mean, it was a dunk fest.
Yeah.
And so he's like, man, we may hold the ball till next Tuesday. And he was really pumping it up as if we were going to just make this a low scoring game. And there's no shot clock or anything. So he came in the locker room. He just burst through the locker room before that game, and he just said he knocked the chalkboard over. Said, "You think we're going to hold this bleeping ball? You got to be out of your mind." He said, "We're going to run. We're going to run with them. We're going to keep them from dunking because that's what gets them going, and we're going to have more dunks than them." I mean, the guy was just an amazing motivator and coach. So yeah, that was our message going out. We were hyped.
Well, and a dunk won it. Obviously, ironically, that was the dunk that did it. So that was, we look on those moments, and we love being able to dip in with you on those things. Let's talk some of this Utah Jazz team. And last night, getting the win, lots of young guys on the court. It's exactly what you want to see. Nice 21-point night for Flip, and Keontae comes off the bench and gets 20 for himself. Nice night for the Jazz. Nice win for the team as well.
It was good. We saw a lot of different things. We saw Walker Kessler take his quota of three-point shots. We saw, as you mentioned, the young players come in and manage a game. Coach Will Hardy talks about course correction. There was a moment there where the Jazz got down and the Wizards started to make their run, and he put a young group in there, and it was nice to see how they handled it and how they countered it. So yeah, those are the things you're looking for, and they got the win. So mission accomplished. Filipowski's doing amazing things. He'll continue to do that. I was with Isaiah this morning, and he's just really exploded on the scene. I'm not sure people really knew how good he could be, and he's going to even get better.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Isaiah because Will Hardy talked about him after the game last night, and he mentioned that growing up and even into college, Isaiah Collier basically was able to just play bully ball because he was that much bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody else he played with. You get to the NBA, and he's obviously got to make an adjustment. What are some of those adjustments when you're talking to him? What are some of those things that he's working on now that he's at the NBA level where he can't just rely on those things?
Well, if you went out and bought a Maserati or a Lamborghini, you know what you're buying that car for, right? Speed.
Yeah.
But legally, you can only go so fast. So I think what I'm hinting to is that Isaiah Collier brought with him his biggest asset, which was speed. And it helps you to a certain extent. It helps you when you know how to use it the correct way. And I think in this game at this level, what he's learned is he's learned to control that. He's learned how to slow it down or decelerate, if you will, and see everything. Because a lot of times when you have blinders on and you're going one way, you're just trying to get to the rim. And that's what he was really good at in college and in high school. He's really improved on just his decision-making on the fly. And it's been really nice to see him do that when he doesn't have something that's direct to the rim. And even if he gets by his guy and somebody else comes to help, he's in control of himself enough to know how to make a really good play, and that's why his assist numbers are just climbing.
Thurl, I love watching guys that don't get drafted but find a way to make it in the NBA, and Oscar Tshiebwe is becoming one of those guys. Another double-digit rebound night for him, and obviously the story with him, and especially what he's been doing in the G League, some of the numbers he's been coming up with there are ridiculous when it comes to rebounds. But a 6'8" center in today's NBA, and he's trying to figure out a way to fit into the league. Do you see a way for him to do that? Is the rebounding enough for him to be able to stick in the league? What else does he have to do to stick in this league based on what you've seen from him so far this season?
Well, like I said, he only does it one way. That's the Oscar Tshiebwe.
Come on. You need to get a patent on that.
You better get a T-shirt made. Come on.
You got to get that registered. That's good.
First of all, he is an amazing young man. I mean, just a pleasant to talk to. If you're in a poor mood and you talk to Oscar Tshiebwe, you can't be in a bad mood anymore. That's just the kind of person he is. He's infectious that way. Basketball-wise, he obviously has been noticed. The Jazz obviously see something in him to be able to bring him in from the G League and see how much of it translates. Now, he hasn't really had a ton of time at that level, but it means a lot. I mean, I think it means a lot for him to be able to go down and do what he does and dominate in that fashion. And, it is mostly rebounding, but, I mean, that's a heck of a treasure to have, somebody who will do that kind of dirty work and also give you second, third opportunities and then score himself inside. So I think his development's important. I'm not sure he's ever going to be that guy who's going to stretch the floor and hit threes. But when you look at what Paul Millsap was able to accomplish when he came here as, the NCAA's best rebounder for, 2 or 3 years, he was able to develop his game. So, Oscar has a future somewhere at a high level. And whether it's in the NBA long term or whether it's overseas, he's going to be playing basketball for a long time.
Big T, Thurl Bailey joining us, of course, television broadcast right alongside Craig Bolerjack on that SEG television network. And Thurl, let's ask you a little bit of something that's near and dear to your heart. Not that you're ever, not involved in the community, but another way that you're involved in the community is this is your Jam Fest you do, the Thurl Bailey Jam Fest. That's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. Tell us a little bit about it and how people can get involved in this thing, man.
This is our 3rd year, guys, and it's been an amazing ride. It's the Jam Fest 2025 3-on-3 tournament and block party. And I've always loved 3-on-3 tournaments. Just growing up and going through cities. I went up to Spokane and watched what they do at Hoop Fest up there. And it's a great community event to build other things around. A lot of the younger kids, they didn't know much about their father's street ball, their father's 3-on-3 tournaments outdoors, because, a lot of the 3-on-3 tournaments that came through Utah, they came from out of state, and they set up in a parking lot, and once they were done, they left, and there really no residual effect in the community. So we wanted to be different, and we've grown our 3rd year. We had to move. We were over by the Karl Malone Center and the Lehigh Pool. We just grew out of it. So we're expecting about 200 teams this year, a little over, 600 or 700 players, and maybe about 3,000 spectators or more, because there's so much else going around. And we've moved to the Lehigh Family Park, which is an amazing setting. So if you go to jamfestutah.com, you can sign up for different things, whether it's to play, whether it's to volunteer, or whether it's to sponsor. And we just have a great time, and we've got dunk contests, we've got shooting contests where we give away some pretty cool prizes. So you two should put a team in. All you need is one more. Or you better listen. You better recruit 2 more.
Look, I'm the guy that'll be there at the pool party with the belly flop. You know me. That's what I'm gonna look. You said there's a pool party. That means I'm gonna be there for that. So it's all
levels.
good.
We got different levels of play, too.
I love it. Yeah, 118 teams, 17 different divisions, almost 1,400 attendees in this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. So you just go to jamfestutah.com. It's easy enough to sign up right there, get a team together in the division that you want, and then there you go. That'll get you going. So Thurl Bailey, Big T on with us every week, chatting about this Utah Jazz team, and of course always special to be able to jam a little bit about this Utah or this the NCAA tournament as well. So
hey, guess who I'm picking? Guess who I'm picking for the tournament, baby?
Tell me.
Houston. Isn't that ironic?
Oh, look at you! Yeah, we won't tell Coach Rose that's what your pick was. It's
well,
fine, so.
BYU's up there. I'm not discounting them.
And VCU's making a little bit of a run. BYU's up as much as 20. Now they're up 12, 62-50 over VCU with just about 9 minutes left in that one. So, Big T, we'll talk to you next week, man. Have fun with covering this team, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.
There you go. All you have to do is just go to jamfestutah.com, find out more about how to get on Thurl's 3-on-3 tournament right there, and dunk contests galore. That's one I'm not.
Get your friends together and go play some hoop.
I won't be a part of the dunk contest, but I will be in the pool. I will be at the pool party. All right. JJ, let's take another break here. We'll come back. We have a Would You Rather right around the corner at 4 o'clock. In the 4 o'clock hour, we've got tons still to be able to get to. Like I said, BYU up now 62-50 over VCU. I was just waiting to see if that shot was going to drop, and Yeah, now it's 10. Now it's 62-52. So there you go. BYU 8 minutes and 30 seconds left in that second half, up 10 on VCU. The Rams have cut this lead down, if you can believe it. It was 17 just a couple of minutes ago, and now it's down to 10 for the Cougs. So we'll take that break. We'll come back. We've got you updated throughout the rest of your tournament. We have our first 12-5 upset of the day. So you can brag to your friends about that one 12-5 pick that you had, and you can tell us about it next. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's that time of year.
The tournament is now underway.
Hey, who do you have going all the way?
What do you have going all the way?
Keep tabs on your selections now by logging on to KSLSports.com and following all the action on the Basketball Mayhem page.
I love college basketball.
It's your chance to win cold, hard cash. The KSL Sports Basketball Mayhem is powered by Omada Real Estate. Download the free Omada app today from the real estate experts as the Stern Team. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody!
Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are live in Harriman at the JCWs, the Burger Boys. You can come down, hang out with us here in Harriman. We're also going to be out on the road again tomorrow at the South Jordan location of JCW's there, just across from Mulligan's. What is that, 106 South?
That's 106.
106 South. Just across from that Mulligan's there.
Right
easy enough to find. We will be right there trying not to have yet another over-the-top shake. But no promises, okay? What are you going to do? When in JCWs, you have to do as the JCWians do.
If
JJ.
you're at one of the finest establishments in all of Utah, you
man.
partake of the goodness.
Speaking of partaking of the goodness, BYU right now enjoying a 66-52 lead over VCU right now with 6:14 left in the second half. The Cougs enjoying some nice shooting this afternoon. Started off a little bit slow, but doing exactly what they wanted in the second half, having already scored with 6 minutes left, 27 points in the second half. The Cougs are and look, VCU, they turned up some of that shooting. They were 4 for 16, I think, in the first half. They're now 10 for 27 from three, so they're kind of normalizing that shooting. BYU was 50% from three in the first half at 5 for 10. Now they're 7 for 18, but it's the transition points that have helped them out in the second half, JJ. It was like they read your mind. Kevin Young wanted to know what you were going to do in the second half, and you told him, hey, let's keep this thing going in transition. The Cougs up 14 now with just under 6 minutes left in this game in Denver. So we'll get that reaction. We'll make sure and get you also as soon as those. We'll probably bring you the end of this game. We'll make sure and get you the Westwood One coverage as this thing is about to go final. Maybe the last 90 seconds of this one. JJ, would you rather win your home bracket? Just absolutely school your kids and your wife. Because the last thing you want is for your kids to be able to hold that over your head, right? You can be like, Dad, you're the sports guy. I get that crap all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or would you rather win the office bracket?
Which one has the money in it? Which one has the pot?
People can beat you and win some money, obviously.
Sure. I'd rather win the office bracket because
some bragging rights are a little bit more important.
If you lose at home and you embarrass yourself in your own home,
nobody has to know about
that
it.
In-house.
Oh, yeah.
When you do it at work, if you win that bracket at work, you can rub that in with everybody for the entire year.
I won our bracket last year, the KSL in-office bracket. I won that one last year, and guess what? Nobody gave me – I never got a victory lap. I never got a –
Why didn't you do that? You should have –
I mean, I said a couple things.
You should have been a jerk
for
a week or two. You should have been obnoxious.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I will say – I want to be able to beat my kids all the time at anything while I still have the chance. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Like, there's not a lot of stuff. My oldest is an exceptional golfer, and I haven't beaten him since he's like 13. And so that's a point of pride that he has. And if I'm able to make sure that I always beat him at something like that, then maybe for me, it's the home one. Because you guys, I can stomach losing to a bunch of other sports guys. You know what I mean? In the bracket, I cannot stand losing to my own kids at anything. Right? Still got to be the dad. I will say that I still have the dad's strength. Nobody beats me at wrestling.
That never goes away.
No. No, the pride of not ever wanting to lose your kids in like a wrestling match, that's always going to be there.
Old man strength is called that for a reason.
It's a real thing. Spring fever's spreading right now. Paris RV has the best selection, lowest prices of the year. Check them out, parisrv.com. That's parisrv.com. We're going to get you some reaction, maybe the last 90 seconds of this matchup between BYU and VCU, as the Cougs have just gone up now 70-55. The magic number is usually 80 for BYU, and I think they might get there with 4 minutes plus left in this matchup. The Cougs up 15, 70-55 in Denver. We're also anticipating chatting with Jonathan Tavernari in our next segment. Get some reaction from JT as this thing may be going final or will be already final in the next 15, 20 minutes. So I guess more like 10 minutes or so. So stay right here. More to go. We're at the JCW's in Harriman. We've got tons more for you right around the corner. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.